Hey, how's it going out there? Welcome to BALLBUSTERS, episode 59, Drop an Anchor with Science. If you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. And we should be good to go 5 by 5. How's it going out there, BALLBUSTERS?
Hey, doing well. Good to see a full panel tonight.
Let's see what we got.
Be here. Welcome on all the audience out there. Welcome to live BALLBUSTERS.
Good evening, Nathan Oakley, sir. Gonna wrap up this BALLBUSTERS with the last drop and anchor at episode 59. I think this is part E. So it's been a while since we've been here. We've gone over a lot of different aspects of natural science. I like staying here, but it's going to be time to move on after this. We might drop anchor back in here in a few months. We'll see how it goes. We got a
worthy endeavor.
You think it's a worthy endeavor?
Definitely. This is the key to our success in terms of overall rhetoric, being that the globe has got science on its side. That's what they call us science deniers. It's all a big ruse. They haven't got any science, and now we're taking the argument to the next level by actually providing them with true scientific definitions of their claims, which aren't backed by science. This is crucial. And for me, it was a particularly important part of my journey in terms of the winning in the debate, showing science. So if you haven't paid attention to these last 4, maybe 5 shows, then you should have done. And hopefully this will be like a summary show for everyone who's watching. And I like all of the shows. I'm going to stress the importance, how important it is to understand what science is and what science isn't. If you do have a good understanding of science, you'll be able to defeat any globehead argument. They don't have any science, and they'll claim it all the time.
Yeah, it's a paradox with I don't... Somebody Jedi mind tricked them and told them there was some type of science in sphere ball-tard Earth. I don't know. I don't know why. It's like they set them up for failure.
Yeah, it's amazing. They think you don't need experiment to be scientific.
They don't even know what an experiment is. That's the really hilarious part. I don't know what to say about that. I really don't. I'm baffled.
Well, it would be good if they actually knew what a hypothesis was in the first instance.
They don't know what that is either. Somebody Jedi mind tricked them. Hey, listen, pseudoscientists, I really appreciate that. It's like hanging they're giant watermelon-sized hanging curveballs. It's easy. I can go in blindfolded and give me your best shot, meat, and just start jacking it yard. So I love it. Thank you very much. Please more. Darn phone. All right, hold on 1 second. Yeah, it's a great day. Yep. It's a handful of a day too. Apparently, I got a house full of teenagers. My word, I haven't thought this through about 18 years ago. It's my daughter's birthday today, so it's crazy house. Yeah. I didn't think this one through 18 years ago.
It's okay.
You always lose control eventually.
Yeah. Hey, listen, thanks. Oh, hold on a second, Nathan. Got some super chats. I do have super chats. I can't see the chat, however. So if anything happens in chat, somebody got to tell me the studio live chat is playing its squirrely games again. I only have my post in there. I can't see anything else. But
want me to read it out?
No. I got the super chats. It is populating those. So Unitox Femu, Sasha, Rumpus is idiot. That cost me 2 pounds. That's number 1. He's got 2 more. Struggle between common sense and imagination. And the last one, experiment is when you blindly mix 2 things. Yeah, the double blind chemistry experiment and the physics experiment. Yeah, Thanks a lot, Sasha. Appreciate that, man. You're all over it.
That's flat Earth math. That's from the past.
It's two. It's not only flat Earth math. I did the show on him, but he got it from Sly Sparkane. So Sly Sparkane Jedi mind tricked flat Earth math, and flat Earth math parroted. Two. So I got a twofer. Love it, man. You know what? That one still tickles my wife to death. Out of all, now I haven't shared everyone with them, but everyone with her, but I did share that one, and I wish I had the camera and took a picture of the look on her face. It was priceless. Because my wife's got an actual science degree, so she's familiar with the vocabulary, even though she's been away from it for many, many years. She still has part of the vocabulary, so she understands it.
Came up with a couple of chemicals to mix on the spot that would cause catastrophe, and them in humorously. Or maybe she didn't. I don't know.
Who's that?
I'm harking back to an old Simpsons when he's in a chemistry class, and the teacher says, "You do know what happens when you mix acid bases, right?" He goes, "Yeah, of course I do." And then he pours them together, and the whole lab explodes.
just the thought. Just think about it. Even if you have no experience, right? No clue of science, right? A double-blind physics or chemistry experiment. I don't know. Just the regular everyday Joe. You would kind of, raise a weathered eye with that. I'm thinking. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base.
How would that work with the quantum erasure experiment?
You have a tramp run it, and before you can find out what the tramp's found out, he runs away, and then you and the other guy in the double blind are just left scratching each other's heads, wondering what happened.
Yeah, but you see, a double blind, you have to have a treatment group. See, this is what they do in the medical field, epidemiology. For double blind or single blind experiments, those speak to the experimenter and the treatment group. So you must have a treatment group. As soon as you say blind, right, that immediately invokes a treatment group. Like humans. It's out of context. It's a cat. You following me with this?
I am, but I want to give an example just because we used to have to do it back in the day, doing audio gear. A blind test would be you sat in front of a piece of equipment, and the person who's showing it you changes between A and B. That's a blind test. So you don't know what you're listening to. You just listen to A, then listen to B. That's a blind test. Double blind test would be where a third party comes in, sets all the equipment up on a switch box. The third person then leaves, having set it all up. Two people then come in. One sits down, the other changes what you're listening to, but neither know what's being listened to. Switch back with one, decide which one you like the sound of, go out, and then the third party verifies what they actually were. So that's a double blind test.
We're way off base. That has nothing to do with the genre we're talking about.
That kind of sounds like how the globe religion was started. By accident. Double blind. Like nobody knew, and they looked at it and it's like, yeah, it's this. No, that's not what it was. Yeah, it is this. It's a globe.
Well, if it's treatment groups or listening tests, like comparison tests, not science either. And neither is Sly or Flat Earth Maths double blind out of context when claiming it to be science. Now, I'm not saying that your version of a double blind in medicine is the same as my version of a double blind in listening, but ultimately speaking, none of them are science.
Exactly. You got it. The way to summarize. I was waiting for that. Yeah, you're exactly right.
When I hear the double blind in reference to chemistry, the first thing I thought of was a methamphetamine lab from the 1990s, where everyone was blowing everyone up. So that sounds like about that, isn't it?
Talk later, Brian.
Yeah. Sweet. So what else is going on out there other than the crazy teenagers in here, man?
I was going to say, surely the mistake would be having a show on a kid's birthday as opposed to conception however many years ago.
As opposed to conception. It's not her birthday today. It's just her birthday party day.
Okay. So good enough excuse to have a Ballbusters.
Yeah. They don't really care about what shows I'm doing. It doesn't impact their lives at all.
I understand.
I'm just a dad, Matt. That's all right. That's okay. See, you're up and running for 2 in the future, and let me tell you something. It goes fast. Get ready.
Yeah, yeah. My 3rd is on the way.
3rd, yes, you said.
Yeah,
News.
next month.
And
Wow.
you're not allowed to have arms in England. Is that correct?
What now?
You're not allowed to have arms. That is weapons in England.
Oh, thought like
There you
all
are, yeah.
arms are
Yeah, you
amputated.
have to have a license. Yes, you can have weapons.
You just have to have a license, is what you said.
Correct.
Okay.
I've shot a shotgun a fair few times at clay pigeons and things.
Sure.
You have to have a license.
You might want to purchase one and get a license, especially if they're heartbreakers. As they start to get older, you're going to need it.
Oh, you need a shotgun. Oh, I see where you're going.
Well, John, I've already started drawing up the contract for my daughter when she starts dating.
yeah, exactly. Man.
No, in Britain they don't need that, and when you actually need that, it's ready to.
Yeah, you should see the ones where I've got them hovering everywhere. It's unbelievable. So I'm just saying, get ready, Nathan. I'd start getting the ammo now. Hey, what's up, Retro Bill? Thank you for the super chat. 20. Where are we? Big hello to the panel. Big hello to you, sir. Knock 'em dead, QE. Roger. Hey, knocking them dead. Speaking of knocking them dead, let's get this on. I want to shout out again for a shameless plug. Where am I at here? That's where I'm at. The Numpty clips, man. There they are. The link is in the description box for the playlist, and it's getting populated quite quickly. So just get ready down there. Just hit the playlist, and you're off and running. Get ready. Next week is it's going to be a gem. Not that the weeks after that aren't going to be, but we got some good ones next week. We got. Maybe I shouldn't even give out that information. I'll tell you. I'll give this one out because what happened over there? What was it? The magic oxygen. How'd you say that?
Factories in the sky.
The magic oxygen factories in the sky. He's going to star on one of the Numpty clips along with his bald-tard boyfriend, Georgie, when these two bozos are going to implode the entire heliocentric spinning ball space monkey religion all by themselves together. So Rumpy and Georgie is one of them. That's all I'm giving you. Stay tuned. It's a belly laugher.
Is that going to make it onto the Numpty clips also? One that's exclusively me? I'd be flattered if it did.
But what do you mean exclusive? No, not the oxygen, the magic oxygen factories. That's not going to make it. No.
Oh, well, what do you then?
You know what? Let me think. You got plenty on the Numpty clips. You're all over the Numpty clip. Well, I would say a good 40% of them.
Just because I said I wouldn't mirror them.
No. Listen, we're getting off track here. You're already on about 40% of the Numpty clips in some way or another. You were already on one of them. The Sly Sparkane's hypothesis hopscotch. You see this one right here? This guy right here?
You missed my point. What I was saying was that particular Numpty clip would just be me and Rumpus, wouldn't it? Whereas any other Numpty clip, for instance, there's the Sly Sparkane one. I'm a part of it, but it's not just me. I'm just being vain. Ignore me.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? I'd have to listen to that again because, like I told you, I was on the show, but then I decided to get up and get breakfast, and when I did, Rumpus come in, right? And then you started, and then when I got back, it was already near the end. And you already went over the magic oxygen factories in the sky. I didn't even know that happened until you reran that show. What was it, last night?
It hasn't run yet. It's actually, I just clipped out that little 3-minute bit.
That's what I'm saying. You just clipped out that part, right? I know the show hasn't run, but that part did. And I said, wonder where he get that from. And I clicked on it and I started listening. I said, you could see me on the panel, but I wasn't there. I was making breakfast, and he come out with those magic oxygen factories. Well, you did. I was sitting there. I was in tears.
Did you hear the one where he sounds like Elmer Fudd?
I don't think so.
Oh, that was hysterical. What did he say? He missed his R? Something? Bub?
He missed his R.
He said something, and Nathan kept saying it. I said, Elmer J. Fudd.
Elmer J. Go ahead, Nathan. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's been a few, but they've been deeply unpopular. The more editing and work I put into them, the less popular they seem to be. My version of them clips. I know people just got used to them and they liked them at first and now don't, but I don't know. Either way, check out the 3 clips that I did over the last couple of days. I put a lot of work into them and they're very good. I thought they were good. Go watch them.
They're out there. The magic oxygen factories in the sky is classic. I'll have to reevaluate that one. I'll listen to that one this evening again, but you had me in tears. That was hilarious. You took him right where he wanted to go. Right to the woodshed.
I'll say again, it's one of those that,
go ahead.
Over time, your Numpty clips, basically because, and I'll compliment you highly here, you're better than I am. So you can, don't get me wrong, they're not all you, but often when they are, they're very concise. They're always 10 minutes or less, some of them more, but you know what I mean. They're generally very short. In other words, you can get it to the point where it can be trimmed out and be a Numpty clip with a conclusion very quickly. Well, over the course of the debate, maybe 4 years, it's gone from, if I was to trim out a clip, it would be a 50-minute clip.
Right.
Where you're going through the whys and wherefores of everything. Whereas now, after that amount of time debating it, it's got to the point where now I can produce maybe a 5 to 8 minute clip that has a concise point where a fundy comes in, asserts his nonsense, it gets battled about, then it gets pulled apart, then you can roll the outro. Well, that's what people want, right? About 5 minutes, maybe 10. And back in the day, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't produce a 10-minute video. Coriolis was the worst of all. It was a 2-hour clip.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it depends on them. Also, when they start talking, it depends on a lot of things, right? Because the audio quality, because people are always over talking each other, I can't use that, right? That's why I tell people, and I know it's hard, I'm guilty of the same thing myself. I tend to jut in when I shouldn't, when I just should let them talk. And you did it yesterday because Rumpus was saying something like, you said, where does the oxygen come from? And you kept on repeating it, right? And he was screwed, right? I'm sitting there laughing. He's screwed, but he did say that it was created millions and then you cut him off. You see, you should have let him go.
Yeah, it would have ended the sentence millions of years ago, because then he did go on to say it's always been here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm guilty. I can't blame him.
And he's saying,
go ahead.
His claim, so just for your audience and mine when I mirror it, this show, we're talking about the assertion that why does steam go up? Well, it's going up, so it's violating gravity. But to get around that, they'll say, well, the air around it's going down. Well, what air's going down? It's expanding in all directions and starts at ground level. It's going up. It's starting its journey on the ground and making its way up to the top of Everest in some cases, very high up. So it's definitely going up. But they need it to go down, right? They need a force. They need it to go down because otherwise it'll all be sodding off into space. So and I'm asking him, what gas is going down. He's like, all of them. Name a specific gas. Well, oxygen. So oxygen's made in the sky and falls down, go boom, boom. There's magical oxygen factories in the sky. Well, no, it was here. Hold on. It was here all the time. It was created millions of years ago. That was his argument. Like, no, it's created at ground level, making its way up. Not created in midair. Nonsense.
It's created in midair. You had him too. As soon as you said that, I said, I wonder where this is going to go. It's going to be a woodshed moment here in a minute. And he started stuttering because he knew he was done, man. It's so numpty. I'll tell you what, that is numpty worthy. I'll tell you that much. But wait till you get a load of Georgie and Rumpy on the Numpty clips this week. Remember, they're every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2 p.m. So this is going to be a classic. It's classic, man. You'll love it.
Awesome. Sometimes those two arguing amongst themselves is hysterical. There's been a couple of occasions where I've heard them arguing over what Coriolis is and isn't.
Yeah.
They'll contradict and argue amongst themselves for about an hour. Very amusing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few of you with Georgie there. They'll be coming up in the next few weeks, you know. So, especially with Coriolis. You drug him around many times with that. It's embarrassing listening to him. All right, so let's see where we're at, man.
Nathan, what was that word he said? I can't think of the word he said.
Who?
Rumpus, when he sounded like Elmer Fudd.
I mean, interrupted.
That's it.
What? What did you say?
So he's stuttering. He's up against the ropes, right? And I'm asking him about gas going down, go boom, boom. And all he can do is try and get it away from the actual topic like he does by claiming I'm interrupting him.
Right.
I haven't got to say a full sentence yet. Things like that. But he's so riled up and flooded that he says, "You're interrupting me."
You're into oh yeah. I got you now. Yeah, interrupting.
And I said, he's Elmer J. Fudd.
You gotta clip that one out. And he also said, if you could go back and get the one where share your screen. So that lines right up with it. Share your screen, Wumpus. Stop interrupting me.
You're wampusing me. You're wampusing me.
You're wampusing.
I was literally laughing for 10 minutes straight. I had to go on mute.
I missed. When was that?
It was this week. It was one of the shows. I've been looking for it, but I can't find it.
Yeah, you gotta find it.
Less than 24 hours ago. I like it. No, slightly more than 24 hours ago.
Yeah, too funny, man. Yeah, you get him. You always get him quickly up against the ropes. Every single time.
Yeah, Rumpus versus Nathan is an item.
There's a reason for that, and it's not because I get him up against the ropes quickly. Like, sounds like I'm getting undue credit. The reason it happens fast is because they have to beg the question quickly. The dirty detail, the secret they don't want to let into the argument, or they want to have tacit acceptance from their opponent immediately, they'll drop in straight away, first breath. Normally, it's got to stop them immediately. So while I'm saying, oh, the interruptions and the fundy muting, yeah, there is a point where I'll have to do that and have to do it with justifiable reasoning. In other words, I've got to be on my guard to say, well, no, you're doing that. You're fundy muting me. Well, it's like, no, because you've now begged the question, the rest of whatever you say, just hyperbole. Because you've laid down the premise that you're trying to prove initially as a statement of fact, and now you're babbling on about nonsense. If I don't stop them at that point, by the time they've finished their statement, everyone's forgotten about the bit they begged the question of early on.
Yep.
That's why it happens quickly.
Yeah, but Nathan, you don't miss it, man. That happened so fast that you did not miss it. Interrupt.
So did you stop? Did you stop and say? Did you question him when he said it?
I said it over and over again. Are you interrupting me?
You got to clip that one out, man. Please, please. Don't make me go searching for it.
Okie doke.
Hey, shout out to Tony Wickham. Appreciate that, sir. Super chat. He said, living on a spinning ball Earth would be akin to being on a continuous fairground ride. You're exactly right. It's preposterous, ludicrousness, absurdity. Yeah, thanks for the super chat, man. You're right. Yeah, exactly. And you would know it too, right? If you're moving, especially angular movement, the semicircular canals, the vestibular apparatus will tell you that you're moving and making any change in angular movement or momentum. Yeah, everyone would know it.
Yeah.
It dies right there. I don't even need to show the inertial frame, star and moon rotation, which kills it dead. Dead.
Right.
I mean,
The
you
inner
can-
immediately tells you if there's some kind of acceleration happening, whether it's angular or linear.
You know what?
even constant speed.
Go ahead, Flatsoid.
I'm saying even constant speed. I have yet to not feel a constant speed, no matter where I am on what I'm traveling.
I'm going to try to pull that up.
That's only because of typical vibrations, though, associated with a constant speed. If you would wake up in a perfectly frictionless, steady motion, like a hover train or whatever, and you literally did not know that you're on that, it might take a while before you figure it out, right? But acceleration of any type, angular or straight lined, you will know immediately. Your inner ear will immediately adapt.
Yeah,
Can I give
would
some
agree.
props? So, this way. Borealis, I've often described as a tightrope, a teetering tightrope, a dangerous pit that you're going to fall into if you get it wrong. What we're actually talking about, though, is us justifying why we're, when standing still, actually moving at ridiculous speeds. And we're having to defend the fact that when motionless, we're motionless. We're having to fight against the idea that you're moving at great speed when motionless. And when you break it down like that, isn't it ludicrous that we should even have to fight this argument? Yet in many contexts, I've described this argument as the most brutal, vicious, long-winded argument you can have on this subject. Yet we're proving that we're not moving when we're not moving.
Yeah. But you love it. You are the Coriolis effect king. I tend to stay away from that argument now, even though I pushed it really hard for the past 3.5-4 years. I tend to stay away from it because it gets too convoluted too quickly. You love it, and I don't blame you for it, but I solve it quickly with the semicircular canals and the vestibular apparatus, not taking anything away from what you just said. I understand what you're saying. We're trying to disprove it moving when it's not moving at all. I got it. But especially new people, if you really want to drive the point home, right? It's the vestibular apparatus and the semicircular canals. If they just look it up, they'll figure it out. If anyone's taken an A&P course, they know exactly what I'm talking about, right? But the inertial frame, moon and star rotation, it's a death blow. It's quick. I'm going to run it now. There's no sound to it. So if you guys are going to watch it, you can watch it on the live stream here. So I'm going to cut over to it. This is a 25-second time lapse. It kills the rotation dead because we got a drone in the inertial reference frame hovering, and it's got his eye on the moon and a bunch of stars. Now, I don't know if that's going to come across YouTube all that well, but there's stars at 6:30, 7:30, 8, 9, 4:30, 3, 2 o'clock, and the moon is all moving. Check this out, guys. Here we go. So here we go, 25-minute time lapse. Inertial reference frame that this drone is hovering in. And what's moving? Yeah, the moon, the stars over here, 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 and here. They're all moving at the same rate also. So no parallax. That's a side point. Right? Let me play it again. This should not happen on a spinning ball space monkey religion. This is impossible, folks. That's it. It's over. Nothing you can say about it. It's done. Say goodnight. Too funny. That's all it is, baby. There you go. That's all she wrote. I could stop right there. The prosecution rests. There's nothing they could do. Nothing. Gotta love that.
Yeah, that's why they were so against me when I showed the balloon hovering in one place. When I was watching the sun move across the screen.
These days, I just had a discussion over 24/7 Discord about air and why it can't move in lockstep. So now if somebody brings up Coriolis and then gets selective with it and gets all weird, I just like to remind them, like, yeah, air doesn't actually move in lockstep with any kind of rotatory situation. And you could, if you wanted to, demonstrate this to yourself with like a enclosed donut like setup that rotating and then gas within it, it's not going to move perfectly lockstep with the rotation.
Dude, that's one of the dumbest. I mean, there's some stupid arguments out there that the ballers have. Ballers, you need to drop that lockstep movement of gases with a rotating solid, because that is so stupid on many levels. A incoherent second grader, when they walk outside, can disprove your entire framework. It's stupid on so many levels. Gases aren't attached to themselves to begin with. So they're moving in all different directions anyway. How can gas molecules be moving in all different vectors and be moving at one vector all at the same time?
Yeah, but that goes against Coriolis too.
No, but they move because of pressure differentials.
That doesn't. I'm not talking about that. They say. Yeah, but that's you're getting off. You're getting off course. Focus. They're saying that if it moving in lockstep, that means it's moving with the Earth, traveling from what? West to east. That's it, period. You don't have to bring anything else into it. Right?
Yeah, you wouldn't have wind if it was.
All you have to do is go outside and feel an east breeze on your face and it's over. What about clouds at different levels of the atmosphere moving in all different directions? What are you going to do about that?
Don't forget, if you stand in a valley, the winds move different directions.
Yeah. It's one of the stupidest arguments I ever heard. They get themselves train wrecked. That's what led Rumpus to say that the air is not the atmosphere.
Right.
That's exactly.
Still, despite it being very stupid as an argument, if you actually understand physics, it's still a common misconception. And I'm just saying there is actually a physical way you can prove that it could never be possible. You could physically demonstrate this to yourself with a very specific setup, right? The gas is not going to move lockstep. Liquid might at some point, maybe not perfectly. Solid will probably do it. Gas, however, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how hard you spin it, how long you spin it. It's never going to fully move in lockstep with the situation. And that just completely throws out that option.
Their claim involves a surface boundary layer. Like when you store coffee in a mug, there's a boundary layer around the edge of the mug between the liquid and that's created between the liquid and the surface. And that's what stops the coffee from continuing to store. So they're trying to claim that there is a surface boundary layer that gas adheres to. Do you know what I mean? And even in their own model, when you look into their data to do with their atmospheric data, they try and claim that due to the rotation of the Earth, that there's what they call easterlies and westerlies, I think they call them. And that means a load of these winds move west and a load of these other ones move east, and it's all because of the rotation of the Earth. But that can't happen if it's all moving in one lockstep motion. You can't have any kind of other motion. You can have only the one. It can either be west to east or it's not. It's one or the other.
I got it up on screen, right? Well, go ahead, Nathan. I got it up on screen.
I just want to know, where do they get the moment of inertia with the gas moving?
They don't. It's not susceptible by momentum, only by local pressure differential. It does not care for movement of anything, only the pressure differential.
There you go,
That's
folks.
my point.
There you go, folks. I got it up on screen right now. We've all experienced this, but this is just a visual just for right now. You got clouds at different levels of the atmosphere, all moving in different directions. That's impossible. I don't even know why I have to go this far. An incoherent second grader can deconstruct and then just batter this argument, silly argument about the head and shoulders with just a flurry of blows. Too funny, man. Well, we've gotten off course pretty quick. That's all right. It's a good course to get off of. Nathan, did you want to add anything to this?
Nathan is on deafen.
I didn't think so.
Maybe he's watching a video.
All right, let's get off of this and back up to that. Go. All right, we're almost there. Is he on deafen?
Yes.
Something must have happened. He's off. Anything you want to add to that, Nathan? He's probably got kids climbing all over him. No problem. Let's get...
Could I add good evening?
Hey, good evening, Adam. You're right on time.
Hey, Adam.
Always.
Hey.
I'm like a poorly cultural Jewish family. That Saturday night tea keeps me missing the start of this show, mate. So apologies, but it was a very nice tea, so it was worth it. But I've caught the last 10-15 minutes, but I've just been listening. But
you're interrupting.
Well, that's why I didn't even join in late. I've just brought Photoshop out, so I'll have a little present by the end of the show, I reckon.
Ah, sweet. So yeah. So we have to go over it before we get into the presentation. You had tea. This has got to be some type of aristocratic meal. Please enlighten us.
Oh, I've been working hard today, laying the paving, so it was a nice hearty pasta dish. So it was pasta as ravioli stuffed with porcini mushrooms and truffle, then in a fresh egg carbonara sauce with some thinly sliced mushrooms, fresh and fried pancetta, and then topped with some freshly grated parmesan and lovely truffle-infused olive oil.
What did I tell you, folks?
High class.
What did I tell you?
Sounds delicious.
You posh.
Very Italian flavour. I thought Neil might fancy that. It had a proper rustic Italian dish.
I knew it. I knew you wouldn't disappoint, man.
It's my wife that never disappoints, mate, not me.
Where did she get her cooking acumen from?
I think being brought up in the 70s, so she was cooking Sunday dinners by the time they're 12. Weren't you? That's what you did, didn't it? You know what I mean? So always done that, and then yeah, I mean,
multicultural
now takes it. What? Oh, sorry.
No, I'm interrupting, but multicultural cooking, basically.
Oh,
Great.
Yeah. Well, her mum's English, her dad's Scottish. She's Scottish, but then they grew up in Germany for a while, and obviously we got the house in Italy, so it's you get the schnitzels and you get the pastas, and yeah. I'm a lucky man.
Yes, you are. You married well.
So did she. John, by the way.
So did... yeah, she did. She did, man. All right, let's roll, man. Let's roll, dude. We're going to roll through the presentation. Unless you got something more to add.
One little statement. Like, basically summarizing it all. The scientific method is what segregates the realist from the fantasist.
Watch out with the realist talk. Just be careful with that realism. I'd choose another term. But that's just me.
If you have a better terminology, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't use realist because that comes with some baggage, but I understand what you're saying. Yep.
Right,
yep.
In opposition to fantasist, right? That's why I used it.
I don't want to digress down that road. I understand what you're saying, though. Yeah, they're all fantasists. There's no doubt about it. I don't like to say it's hard, and I get pissed when they put all flat earthers, when they always say they. But in most cases, the Baltards sing the same song, right? I've very rarely seen, maybe on a couple minor occasions, they might be off, but they all collectively mindlessly parrot Wiki or Discovery Channel, right? So they can't be off their sheet of music too far. They can't go outside their bounds. That's why I can justify it and say they as a stereotype. But as collectively, they're clueless on what science is. They have no idea. We all know it. We all hear it. We all laugh at them, right? Justifiably so. All right.
Yeah, they're all very liberal in their reality conceptions.
In their reality conceptions. They don't know what science is. Natural science.
Right. They're afloat. They're liberal. They're free from reality.
Free thinkers, huh? Let's get to it. Mic discipline, please. All right. Like I said, this is the last part of the anchor dropping in natural science and the scientific method. There's some nuances here. We've gotten through, what science is, peer review, hypothesis construction, what are independent and dependent variables, what constitutes an experiment. Now we're in just some nuances. Like I said before, we'll start off with natural experiments, observational studies, and field studies. In fact, I heard somebody talk about field studies yesterday. I couldn't believe it because you never really hear about these. I put this presentation together because I felt eventually they're going to, make a mistake on Wiki and Google and find themselves in this. And either natural experiments, observational studies, and field studies, they have I figured they'd get there. I can't remember who fell into it, but it was yesterday. It's not important, but they brought up natural experiments, all category error completely. I think it was natural experiments with Venus, the radius of Venus. I'm sitting there, what on earth are you talking about? And they started talking the independent variable was radius or something. I'm like, where are you getting this from? But anyway, yeah, we're going to see how much of a natural experiment that is right now, because that's our first topic. So natural experiments, what is that? So from the Alma Mater Wiki, natural experiments are a different type of quasi-experiment design. That should raise a weathered eye right there, right? The quasi term. We'll get back to that. Used by researchers. It differs from person by treatment in a way that there is not a variable that is being manipulated by the experimenter. It tells you right away, right, that variable that's supposed to be manipulated they don't have is the independent variable. So, and quasi. So there's two dead giveaways. Well, what does quasi mean? From Oxford Dictionaries, quasi, seemingly, apparently, but not really. It's dead, so it's a not really experiment design. Funny, huh? It's a seemingly experiment design. It's a sham. Synonym, quasi, pseudo, not real or genuine. Like I said, sham, spurious. Right? So this is a train wreck. Anyone that brings this up when you hear natural experiment, red flags should be popping up. Ask them to define it. Bet you they can't. I'll bet the house. Let's go to Craig P. using natural experiments to evaluate population health interventions. New Medical Research Council guidance from the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. Right? Peer-reviewed journal. The term natural experiment lacks an exact definition. Uh-oh. We got troubles in Shangri-La. You mean you can't even define this monkey? I digress. And many variants are found in the literature. Yeah, I bet there are. The common thread in most is that exposure to the event or intervention of interest has not been manipulated by the researcher. Yep. And I got brackets here. What does that mean? I.e. read no viable independent variable or no experiment. That's what that means. It's over right there. So experiment is in the word and it's not an experiment. That's what fools them because they see the term experiment and Yeah. Oh, I got them now. I got QE now. Yeah. Please. I want you to bring it up. There are important areas of public health policy. This is where natural experiment is employed. Check this out. Such as suicide prevention, air pollution control, public smoking bans, and alcohol taxation. Where natural experimental studies have already contributed a convincing body of evidence. Wow, that sure sounds like natural science to me. Is suicide prevention, air pollution control, public smoking bans, and alcohol taxation friggin' physics, chemistry, biochemistry, or biology? You wouldn't think so. This is a joke, folks. Then we got the other kissing sister. They're three kissing sisters. Observational studies. From Hinkelman, Klaus, Kepthorne. Design and Analysis of Experiments, Introduction to Experimental Design. Part 1, Volume 1. Observational studies are not experiments. So they just lead out and tell you that these are not experiments, right? We could stop right there. Essentially, right? Why read anymore? Because we know what the problem is. By definition, observational studies lack the manipulation required for becoming experiments. It's over. I don't have to go any further. So please bring up observational studies with sugar on top. And then the last of the kissing sisters, field studies. They're not scientific experiments either. From their alma mater wiki. However, like natural experiments, field experiments suffer from the possibility of contamination. Experimental conditions can be controlled with more precision and certainty in a lab. Yet some phenomena, they're giving you an example of a field study right here. For example, voter turnout in an election cannot be easily studied in a laboratory. Voter turnout in an election? What the heck does that have to do with natural science? Is that physics? You're in a category error. If you didn't know it, morons. By the way, if you brought any of these up, you'd fail 5th grade general science. Thanks. Regards. One of my favorites. Natural science versus scientific theory. I usually bring this up with quote unquote educated people, especially in any of the actual science disciplines. This usually sends them for a loop, right? Because they haven't thought about it. They're just parroting this stuff, right? And it catches them off guard. It'll stagger them, right? Try it. Try this with somebody that's educated, like PhD in chemistry or biology, and bring this subject up. Make sure I'm a fly on the wall, because it's going to get downright interesting. So, what's the difference here? Scientific theories, they explain the hows and the whys, the mechanisms and the process, and identifies the cause. For example, germ theory. Scientific theories are the result of validated, confirmed scientific hypotheses that have been rigorously tested. The result of the scientific method is always towards a scientific theory. That's what you're trying to go for here. They're always explanations as opposed to natural laws. They're descriptions. Like I said the last time, it's a fundamental misunderstanding. I don't even think it's a misunderstanding with people. Most don't even know what these terms mean. They're very simple. Explanations and descriptions. Explanations give you the hows and the whys, and descriptions are what they are. They only show the what's and the is's. That's it. That's the big difference between them. Very simple to adjudicate. Natural laws describe, like I said, the what's and the is's. The cause is not applicable. They are based solely on observations, often expressed mathematically. For example, second law of thermodynamics. Now, I'm not saying that natural laws are wrong. I'm saying that they're not science. They're not natural science. That's all I'm saying. So don't put them in the same category. With natural laws, the cause and the how and why mechanism are both nonsensical and invalid inquiries. It's just an is and an are. For example, how or why does heat flow from hot to cold? Always. Well, we don't know, and we'll never know. All we know every single time, it just does and is. Therefore, natural law. That's why they're called the laws of thermodynamics and not the theories of thermodynamics. Get it? Let me say that again. That's why they're called the laws of thermodynamics and not the theories of thermodynamics. Why? Well, they can't go through the scientific method to become a theory. That's why. Very simple. That's the demarcation line. Natural laws never become scientific theories or vice versa. Each are domain specific, inherently. And like I said, I forgot to do it too. I was going to redline this so you couldn't see this. What should be your next objection, challenge, or inquiry? Right? What makes the laws of physics scientific? That should be the next follow-on question immediately, right? Well, natural laws, they call them the laws of physics, are not scientific. So how can they be the laws of physics? Because physics is supposed to be science to follow the scientific method, but natural laws don't follow the scientific method. See it? It's just a linguistic game. Natural laws, they're merely descriptions. Their laws of physics are the same. They're just calling them that. They're the same thing, natural laws. They're just descriptions, like I said, often expressed mathematically, of plain old observations of nature. However, the scientific method is employed to elucidate and explain cause and effect. We all know this. We already went over like 6 times in the last month and a half. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. That's all the scientific method deals with. The hows and whys, they don't describe, they just describe. Or the whys and hows, not describe the whats and the is's. Sorry about that. Cause and effect is purely hows and whys, inherently. Descriptions, the whats and is's, that's not science. How can that be natural science? What are you going to experiment on something to find out what it is? Doesn't even make sense. Natural laws only breach the first step of the scientific method. Observe a phenomena, natural phenomena. You can't formulate a scientific hypothesis because a viable cause doesn't exist. It's forever illusory. Oh, and by the way, just because they're called a law is called a law doesn't make them a natural law. Be careful about that. There's some laws out there that ain't actual natural laws that are called laws of physics. Be careful. One is gravity. There's many other ones, though. Just be careful with that. So let's go to the subject matter expert on this topic, Max Tegmark. He's a professor of physics at MIT. We humans have gradually discovered many additional recurring shapes and patterns in nature, involving not only motion and gravity, but also areas as disparate as electricity, magnetism, light, heat, chemistry, radioactivity, and subatomic particles. These patterns are summarized by what we call our laws of physics. So they're patterns? What are you, pattern recognition guys? Again, from Tegmark. When we look at reality through the equations of physics, what? That's non sequitur, isn't it? How can you look at reality, physical reality, through an abstraction? Equation of physics doesn't make sense. But I digress. We find that they describe, like I said before, patterns and regularities. Therefore, the laws of physics are mathematical, that is, descriptions of mere observations of the laws of nature. That's what they are. But there's a misnomer, physics, right? They place physics in there that it shouldn't be there. But wait a second. My son is a video game master champion. He can readily recognize and describe the recurring patterns and regularities present in the game, all the while being absolutely clueless about the underlying architecture or software of the game. But he intuitively knows that the patterns and regularities in the game are not the cause of the game. Follow? And is now my 15-year-old son a scientist? No, you wouldn't think so. Number 2, how can the laws of physics, that is, descriptions of patterns and regularities in nature via equations, have anything whatsoever to do with the scientific method, science, when the scientific method is solely based on hypothesis testing, which is only employed to explain cause and effect relationship, the hows and the whys? You're in a category error. Explanations and descriptions, they never cross paths. They're two totally different things. Describing focuses on what's and is's, like we went over before, whereas explanations focus solely on the hows and whys. There's an unfordable abyss between those two, explanations and descriptions. It's just that simple. If you understand that, then this flows naturally. No pun intended. There's kind of a big difference between describing something, like I just said, kind of a big difference between describing something and explaining cause and effect. Like a whole category and actual hypothesis testing, experiments. Watching heat flow from hot to cold or gases flow from high pressure to low pressure isn't an experiment. It's merely observing a phenomenon. Have the laws of motion, which are debunked, by the way, ever caused a single billiard ball to move across the table? It's non sequitur, right? It's just description. It doesn't do anything. Just describing. The story begins and ends at the first step of the scientific method. Is that science? Nope. But what do they go? But we can predict. That's a favorite word of theirs, isn't it? Predict. My word. They don't even know what it means. Mystic Meg. So, after observing heat flow from hot to cold a few billion times, that's the second law of thermodynamics, without fail, you scientifically predict, and genuflect, that if I set my scalding hot cup of coffee on the table for 20 minutes, it's going to get cooler? Wow, a seer! Thanks, Captain Obvious. You must be a scientist. Clowns. A complete moron at the beginning of time could have reached the same conclusion in a coma. Basket weaving is more scientific than the scientific laws. This is a misnomer. They just throw the term scientific in front of the word law by mere fiat. That's all they do, without any warrant whatsoever. It's a turkey squirrel scenario. I could just start putting words together, right? That doesn't make any sense. But they need it for their veracity, for their fairy tales. We'll get to that in a moment. Then what do? In fact, we're going to get to it right now. Then what do? Well, since heat flows from hot to cold always, describe it using equations, then pronounce from the rooftops that this is a scientific law, i.e. science, and genuflect again. This is second grade slick, because it greases the skids for their propaganda efforts with Joe Coffey and Sally Psycho, the masses of the scientific illiterate public, to now put the term scientific in front of just about anything for veracity and validation. Right? It's just linguistic gymnastics. It's not even gymnastics. They just throw the word in front of it. That's why you get evolution, big bangs, multiverses, black holes, gravity, what I call gravy waves, dark matter, spinning balls, ether. See the game? That's how they do it. It's just a word game. In conclusion, file 13, the term scientific with law, as a belly laugher, it's incoherent, it doesn't fit. Like I said, it's a category error. What they are simply are just natural laws. That's it. So, taking everything we discussed above concerning the scientific method and the empirical nature of it, why are people arguing ad nauseum, never ending, over whether the Earth is a sphere or a flat plane without quick resolution? That should be sending off alarm bells and popping up red flags right from the start. Why is there even a debate? Right? That should be your first clue. Do people argue incessantly whether the lack of vitamin C causes scurvy or the lack of insulin with type 1 diabetes patients causes DKA? Do you ever see, focus groups or websites or forums with people arguing this? No, you won't, because it's a duh. It's over. Because they're both empirically validated by experiment. There's nothing to argue over. There's no subjectivity. It's not an agree or disagree scenario. Right? You see it? Is the Earth a sphere or a flat plane? Is that a cause and effect question? Or is it a concrete noun question? Description? Or what an it is? It's a what or it is. So it can't fit in the scientific method, making it not science by definition. Key point, concrete nouns or what's or is's questions are outside the purview of the scientific method. Just why you can't go in there. Can't do anything with it. Only why or how questions based on observations can be adjudicated or reconciled. We went over that a couple presentations ago with my two-step algorithm. Right? Is this a how, why question or a what is question? Is this nature or man-made? That's the two-step algorithm. It can't be adjudicated by it because the scientific hypothesis is based on cause and effect reasoning. It's over. From Lowell C., Cambridge University Press, a scientific hypothesis does not merely state X and Y may be related, but explains why they are related. It's cause and effect, not a description. Any moron can describe something. They can make up a convention or a categorization system and describe it. As long as you're on the same sheet of music, you're good. But if somebody's outside your convention that don't know what you're talking about, they look at you like you're a moron. It has nothing to do with science whatsoever. If it's a what's it or what is, you have no viable X, so you have no Y. So for concrete nouns, that is it a sphere, ball, or a flat plane? Those are two concrete nouns. Your only recourse is to attempt to explain the cause of either, the why or the how, right? How can you do that? So basically, each and every single train wreck proof of a sphere, or flat for that matter, everyone bumbles, stumbles, and fumbles with a non sequitur fallacy on nuclear steroids. Why? You have no, like I said, you have no viable independent variable. And number two, you have no coherent question. All are inane bollocks. And boiled down to, why is a bread box true or rectangular, true or false? Or why or how is a bread box rectangular, true or false? That's your question. Of course, you're not going to say that. No one would, or they'd put you away. Right? So how is this science? How is this natural science? Because that's the question you're asking. That's the hypothesis. You're batshit insane if you'd say that. Every single claim from the ball-tard spinning space monkey religion is an affirmative consequent formological fallacy. Every single one. Now, they may only give you half of it, right? They won't finish it because it's too stupid, but they'll give you the first half if P then Q. Well, it logically follows what you're implying, so I just finish it for them. Right? But every single claim is, evolutionists did the same thing back in the day. Couple examples, one with evolution, one with or in our genre. If evolution is true, P, then insert any Darwinian grab bag post hoc observation, fossils, homology, similarity, genetic variations, and others, Q, thousands of others. We observe a post hoc observation, Q, therefore evolution is true, therefore P. This is a fallacy, folks. It's a logical fallacy. It's a train wreck, logically. Or to put it in our terms, if the spherical Earth with a radius of la is true, P, we will observe differing elevation angles to Polaris, Q. We observe differing elevation angles to Polaris, Q. Therefore, the spherical Earth is true, therefore P. You can see it right there. It's so stupid, right? It's idiotic. It's non sequitur. Why it's fallacious. The logical fallacy is that P doesn't necessarily follow from Q. Duh. This should give it away. If I had just eaten a whole pizza, I would feel very full. I feel very full, therefore I've just eaten a whole pizza. Therefore P. That's preposterous. Couldn't I have eaten a 20-ounce ribeye with fries or the old 96er? Sure I could have. Or any thousands of different combinations. Prove the spherical Earth first, crayon munchers. Goodness gracious. What we got here in Shangri-La is a screaming testimony documented over and over and over again of what happens as a result of what I call the game. Here's the game. Pay close attention. This gives it up. We have the pseudoscience religions, astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology, paleontology, geology, anthropology, geology, evolutionary biology, yeah, whatever that is, and I'm still laughing. Theoretical physics, crocheting is more scientific than all these clowns combined. Why? Well, neither of the masqueraders can follow the scientific method. Science. They just can't do it. By definition of what they are. Because the pseudoscience priests from the religions above know, they know this. They know that you don't know your ass from a pipe wrench when it comes to science. They're banking on this. So they know that Joe Coffey and Susie Psycho, that is, the ball-tard spinning space monkey masses, wouldn't know what actual science or basic reasoning was if it landed on their heads, spun around, and whistled Dixie. That they can pretty much pontificate anything under the term science via clumsy equivocation fallacy, or like I said above, second-grade linguistic word game gymnastics, and have their brain-dead religious hordes from their congregations mindlessly bagak any and all manner of blatant pseudoscience religious propaganda, read fairy tales, that they hear directly from them or the metric tons of sermons posted on their church's website, Wiki, Google, or thousands of affiliate websites. However, this is the key, and we all experience this, right? When the pseudoscience priests or anyone from their congregation is directly challenged, and let me go back to this, most of the pseudoscience priests, they don't let themselves be directly challenged, right? You'll only hear themselves by themselves talking. You'll never hear, very few times will you hear them challenged or have somebody question them. That should raise a weathered eye, but I digress. However, when the pseudoscience priest or anyone from their congregation is directly challenged, that's who gets challenged. The ones parroting their pseudoscience bullshit. Whenever they're directly challenged by anyone with a 5th grade general science acumen or better, and or can fog a mirror, they then call the challenger names without argument. Pick an appeal to ridicule fallacy, akin to the tactics employed on the 2nd grade playground, carpet bomb a barrage of logical fallacies, contradict themselves with every other breath, and muster their hordes and appeal to the consensus, another fallacy, of their pseudoscience congregationers and priests. That's the game. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's what we've been doing for the past 5 years. You know it and I know it. It's simply pseudoscience religion, parroted incessantly by fanatical indoctrinated wankers, read spinning space monkey ball-tards that couldn't tell the difference between a Bunsen burner and a beach ball. Now here's the kicker. Then they rail against religion, don't they? With voracious anger. Sorry, I'm thinking anchors. They rail against religion. You hear them, right? Religion this, all that. We don't deal with religion. We're scientists. Yeah. They rail against religion as a juxtaposition to their pseudoscience. All the while being neck deep in one. Scientifically falsified religion, by the way. It's mind-numbing. Why would they do it? Because they're just parroting, right? They're train wrecking themselves. It's a spade shovel in their own faces. They don't even realize it. Thanks, Globe-Tard Goobers, for perfectly illustrating. The end. Questions, comments?
I was going to launch into a question about, humorously, time being the independent variable in a natural experiment. But I'd rather start with the game, because that is a beautifully succinct summary of what occurs. Everybody will parrot the priesthood, who are unchallenged and dogged in their assertions. It might be that they're doing it to an interviewer, a bimbo of sorts, or if it's discussed with passion, it'll be discussed amongst the fraternity. It'll be Carl Sagan and Fox and Tyson all in the same room. Not that that's possible, but you know what I mean. And they'll be potentially disagreeing with each other on some minor detail that they're trying to thrash out. That happened recently, actually, with Cox. A whole bunch of other astrophysicists, pseudoscientists, calling him out on something that he didn't quite understand. Anyway, you won't see anybody challenging a specific individual like Tyson being on Flat Earth Debate. That would never happen. I've said that many times. What will happen is the person who listens to Tyson comes in, tells me what Tyson has told them, like they're uber smart, gets challenged, pulled apart, debunked, and then we get called idiots. then they pull on the consensus view. That is the game. It's a very succinct summary of it that you ended on there, and I think it's brilliant. Anybody else? Any comments?
Yeah, I'll go next.
No, you can go, Brian. That's fine.
Okay, flat side. Thanks. Yeah, they give the impression that science is not what the science, what they call science, which is just pseudoscience that they pump out to the public. They give the impression that it's not an echo chamber by having these ridiculous debates amongst each other about a load of pseudoscience. Who cares who's right and wrong? Because it's all rubbish. But they give the impression to the public that these people are knowledgeable and know things, whereas they're just making up all these different stories, and then they agree on a particular story until they decide to disagree on it again and make up a new version of it. So they're not going anywhere with it. It's just a lot of make believe, and the public don't know any different, and they just go, well, these people must be the knowledgeable ones because they got maths and big words, and they speak about stuff in an astronomical type of way, with grand gestures, and all this kind of stuff, and they have these big debates. It doesn't mean anything. It's nothing to do with physics, nothing to do with the real world.
Yeah, it's all just a farce. I mean, if you're just going to go and show debating things with different people to try and prove things, everybody's going to think, well, they must be doing science because they're debating it together.
Me and you could have a whole debate on the colour of a unicorn's horn in Zimbabwe. In the oil. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Who cares? None of us can prove it. It's just a heap of nonsense. But we could debate for an hour over it and make it sound like it's a big deal.
Well, if I had Professor in front of me and you had also Professor and you just had a white coat on, they would believe it's true just because we discussed it together.
Yeah. I mean, but the problem is that the public don't realise that they may as well be debating on the colour of the unicorn's horn in Zimbabwe because it's nonsense. They're debating on a heap of nonsense. What happens out in a sky vacuum? It can't be real. The basic physics shows it can't be real. But yet they're going to debate for an hour on it, between 20 of them, make a big deal out of it, up on a stage with a big, huge table, and the whole world's media is going to take this and it's going to get a couple of million views on YouTube, and there you go, science. But they're not after debating on anything. There's nothing real going on. The only thing real there is the table and chairs.
Good point.
Yeah, what they do is they try and use big new words, nuances that ordinary people can't really understand. Then they're going to think that these people are more intelligent, so they'll just leave it up to them and just automatically have the idea that they know what they're talking about.
Exactly. It's just a front, right? Just like, hey, Nathan, did you get a chance to watch the late night with Smoking deGrasse?
No, not as yet. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's not that long. It's only like 10 minutes or so. Not even that. I had just got done with working on, I don't even know what I was working on. Doesn't matter anyway. But it was late night, and I sat down, turned the TV on. I wanted to just watch some TV before I went to bed. And it was the late night show. It's James Corden. Is that how it is? How it pronounced Corden or something like that? Pops on, and there's Neil deGrasse, Smoking deGrasse Tyson in my face, talking. In the first 3 seconds, it was flat Earth. I couldn't believe it. I was like shocked. And the whole gist of what he was talking about was that people like flat earthers, science deniers. That's where he was going with this. That because they deny science, that they should give up all of their cell phones, all of their technology. I'm sitting there. Are you friggin' pretender clown bozo? Right? But you got millions of people looking at this, and they're Joe Coffees and Betty Breadmakers and Sally Psychos out there that, just like I said with the game, they don't know what science is. When they see his face, they think, oh, that's science. He knows what he's talking about. Go ahead and take everything off those flat earthers. They're science illiterate. You see the game?
Yep.
Yep.
Indeed. In that case, it's pathetic. It's weak. He's not even coming up with a clever magic trick. He's not flashing his waistcoat and talking about a beach ball that you can't see the curve of.
Yep.
And implying you should reify the horizon into a sphere edge. Actually, Brian, that reminds me, when you were about things that don't exist that you could argue about all day, nothing's real but the chair. That's recently come to a head with the geometric horizon now, hasn't it? We're arguing all day long about how close to a non-existent horizon the horizon we see is. Like, what is this nonsense? It doesn't exist. Earth curve doesn't exist.
Who are you to dispute Neil deGrasse Tyson's logic? He's been on TV flying around in a spaceship, describing the universe and its origins. Who are you to criticize him?
Somebody with a science acumen? How about that?
The thing is, Arwin, you shouldn't have to have a science acumen to be able to challenge Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I'm not saying that because I don't have a science acumen. I've got a basic science acumen.
No, you don't. You don't have a
point
basic.
Is that
Go ahead, finish up.
My point is that anybody should be capable of challenging Neil deGrasse Tyson at any level for any reason. Shouldn't descend into ridicule. Regardless of what he's punting, it doesn't matter if it's necessary heliocentrism or anything else. Every man be able to challenge on authority, not feel that they should be ridiculed for it. Obviously, if they're wrong, they'll get corrected. Nobody should feel that they're above approach. When I say man, I mean people. Okay.
It's a little difficult, though, when over decades you've been confronted with a man that's being appointed to tell you how it is, and he's actually on TV just casually explaining how the universe works while he's flying around in a CGI spaceship in the universe, also CGI. So, yeah, that impresses a lot of people. It's tough.
I actually watched. Oh yeah, sorry.
There you go.
Sorry, I thought you were finished. I actually watched that Neil deGrasse thing the first night that John Yu posted it, and I meant to actually message you. Well, not message you directly, just in the chat. That what he says about the current situation in the world. He says it has given us the gift of time. Did you catch on to that one?
The gift of time. Oh, yeah, I did. Yes. Yep. Yeah, he made a little analogy with space and time to justify Einstein's space. It was pretty funny now that you say that. I only listened to it once, but you triggered that memory. I'm going to go back and listen to it. It was pretty darn funny. I'll have to say that.
He was adding in Einstein there. He was, yeah. Because he had said that if it wasn't for Einstein, we wouldn't have things like smartphones and things like that. And then he started giving the whole theory of general relativity and space-time some credibility by adding it into the current situation in the world.
No, he justified the general theory of relativity by showing up at a restaurant, place and time. That's how he did it. It was ridiculous. Go ahead.
No, I just agree with you. I would think.
A magician. The guy's a magician. He's an entertainer, and you can call him. Is he an astronomer? Is that what he classes himself, or an astrophysicist?
He's got a PhD in astrophysics.
He's an astrophysicist.
Yep.
He's pointing at the sky and giving you stories. That's a magician.
I agree. He's a joke, but the point is, like I said, with the I could safely say billions of Joe Coffees and Sally Psychos out there with no science acumen whatsoever. That's where they get their science education from. So they're science educators, quote unquote, like Mick West. And in fact, Smoking DeGrasse was talking about the problem with science is a lack of marketing. That was one of his main themes, other than to sneer and laugh at the science deniers, right? You tried to play that old game. And
Translate that. Saying that the problem with science is a lack of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make the correction before I translate it, actually. The correction is no problem with science. It's an empirical method. It couldn't be any better. Empirical. There's no problem with science. Right? To translate what he's actually saying, problem with my brand of pseudoscience just so stories is they need to be continually marketed so that people believe them.
Yes.
Or if the marketing was better, I wouldn't have to work as hard.
Yes.
Telling you constantly that.
Yes, you got it. Yep. You're right on point. Well, enough about Neil smoking deGrasse Tyson. We all know he's a pretender clown. You will never see him up against anyone debating any topic. It won't happen. That should raise a weathered eye right quick. If anyone's out there, any of the Joe Coffees and Betty Breadmakers, not the Sally Psychos, if you're out there, no science acumen, that should be a dead giveaway. Because you'll never speak to him. Go ahead.
It will occasionally roll out a pretender high priest, like Captain Walker. What's his name? Bill Nye, science guy.
Oh, yeah, he's a numpty.
Yeah, but they'll throw him into the ring with people occasionally. I've seen him grilled and get quite angry, being challenged on certain aspects of heliocentrism. So, but he's not an astrophysicist, right?
Right, exactly. Yes, he doesn't have any science degree whatsoever. I think his degree, if I'm not mistaken, is undergrad engineering. I could be mistaken. I know he doesn't have a natural science degree. Yeah, and he's the one that gives lectures to the kids in schools. Everyone knows him from going up through the education system, right? My daughter, my son, they know him. How can you have somebody speaking on science when he doesn't even have a degree in the discipline? I don't understand that. Well, I do understand it because that we're in Shangri-La, right? And he's...
You'll find the term is science communicator.
Yes, science communicator. Yes. I suppose Nye's sacrificable, right? Because he can gum up the works a little bit. I've heard a couple of his statements. He just train wrecked himself. But he can be sacrificed because they can always fall back on, well, he doesn't have a natural science degree. They can always fall back on that. I don't know. I really think they care. Really? I don't think they do. Because they just roll him out, little disheveled wheeling out of the pretender clowns. It really doesn't matter to them. They've already
I think
go ahead.
I think they do a bit. I think they do. Hence what Nathan hit on there. Hence the legal disclaimer, science communicator. They've got to be very careful not to be obvious in their lives. That doesn't stop him turning up and chatting crap, showing your boats going over the edge. But in allowing him to do that and be challenged, he has to have clearly labelled. He's not labelled astrophysicist, is he? He's given the title, chump title, science communicator, which I say is a legal disclaimer, I think, to throw him under the bus.
No, it's who? Bill Nye?
Yeah.
Bill Nye, the science guy. That's his moniker.
Yeah, but that's his title. If you look at it, is that he assumes isn't scientist, science communicator, and like I say, that's the legal disclaimer.
It's the same as Mick West then, because Mick West. I was referring to Mick West when I said it, because that's his title. He gives himself.
Mick West thinks he's a hologram.
Well, that's another one, isn't it? Mick West's another good example, Nathan. That somebody that is there, but in doing so, he's not assuming this archdeaconry that Tyson has, because as soon as they've got that and their word is gospel, then they have to be taken away from any point of being challenged with their rhetoric. Like when you see Neil deGrasse, and he even gets away with the interview doing magic speed, so they'll only engage in communication where even that level of bullshittery is tolerated. And when you're talking about comets are craters on the moon. He got away with that, and that wasn't even challenged, magic speed. It was just smiled and nodded at as if it meant something.
You've talked about the clergy, hinted at a few religious type applications in what you've suggested in the words you've used, right? I'm going to ask you a question with that in mind. So you said they roll him out. Well, who are they? And if he's a high priest, is the Pope the guy above him? I mean, who's rolling him out?
Who's rolling who? First, let's get the who.
Who's the who is the question. And
no.
Being rolled out, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We're talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson in this particular case.
If we knew who the who were, we'd know where to be tomorrow morning, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Okay. So who are they that are rolling Neil deGrasse out? Is that your question?
Yeah. Because does the book stop with him? Is it the case that when you say he's the high priest, in this case, well, no, he's the Pope? No, I don't doubt for 1 second I'll be corrected on this, but I'm just putting it out there to frame the question. So is there someone rolling him out? Shouldn't it just be the case that we said, well, if the people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and who else have we mentioned? Bill Nye, the science guy, and Mick West, the science communicator. If we were to just them on the spot and say, well, these are the people that are deceiving the world, because beyond that, who is the person rolling them out?
Don't know. I can speak to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't put the other two within the same framework as Neil deGrasse Tyson because he's made he's had a television series explaining the origin of life, and he gives all his nonsensical, logically fallacious train wreck fairy tales appeal to a mass audience. So I don't know exactly who's rolling them out. I couldn't identify them. All I know is they're doing it with intent and purpose. That's all I can't point those people out.
They're commissioned, aren't they? So that stuff he's done is commissioned. Like whoever commissioned Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stuff, somebody for whatever reason commissions these things. Now, clearly, and all those mentioned things, it's not necessarily on logic or sense that they're commissioned, or in the case of Neil's, solid science. But they're done for a reason. The alternative, just because you can't quantify the hidden hand, the alternative is that he's got there on talent. So I'd probably go with the former. Yeah. Unless, of course, talent meaning he tells a good tale, in which I'd concede that.
He's
I'm just saying, could it not be... Sorry, Owen, go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly say he's a talented actor. He's very charismatic. He can carry through a bullshit story without you even feeling too bitter about it afterwards. He's so likable, right?
He is. Yes.
He's Neil Smoking deGrasse Tyson. And I think he's been appointed by the consensus.
That's what I was going to say. That's a good hint to what I'm talking about. When you say appointed by the consensus, if he's just naturally a likable guy who tells a good tale, and there's a good tale to be told about the rhetoric of the world, and there's a guy out there who produces a show, or wants to produce a show, and has the connections to do it, and knows that, well, space is a popular subject, who's the best person to be my narrator? I'll pick Tyson. And just in a symbiotic way, bullshit just emanates naturally out into the world.
It just emanates.
Yes. It's all about market, you know? If people want bullshit stories, then bullshit stories shall be provided.
Well, exactly. You've seen, excuse me, you've all seen Yellow Brick Road, right? Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Well, who's the hidden hand in the Wizard of Oz?
Don't know.
Who is Oz?
Oh, inside the movie itself?
Yeah.
A good fairy. A good fairy, Nathan. Conducts everything.
A guy behind a curtain. That's all it is. A guy behind a curtain. One guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to these things, whenever I've sort of seen something as being grandiose and fantastical, look into it and find out that there's just one guy behind it. There's an origin. Now, it might be the case in heliocentrism. There's an origin story and a very questionable character at the end of it with very few sources that go back very far. But if you ignore that, what I'm saying is currently, if you ignore that historical factor, which is a factor, people currently are just the people who permeate the bullshit out into the world. Can focus on them as individuals. Now, Tyson spotted a niche and is charismatic and has gone out as an entertainer in a world of heliocentrism and just perpetrated that information, the right word, into society. Now, that's just him. Who's wheeling him out? Well, he is, because he's got a profitable religion to punt. And that's the religion of the day. Now, I'm getting somewhere with this. There's a point in all
Yeah,
this.
I'm trying to figure out because he's allowed to do that. What if I wanted to do that? I mean, I'm charismatic.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going.
Okay.
You can. You are. And you are pushing to be like him in many ways. Now, societally, they don't want you. It's the reality. Now, when you make it seem like there's a they that would make that happen, well, in Tyson's case, yeah, because the current paradigm is heliocentrism, there's a producer out there that would want to produce it, and there's a cameraman that would comfortably sit in front of it. Now, because the paradigm isn't flat Earth, and you, if you were, I'm not saying you're not, as charismatic as Neil deGrasse Tyson, went out and approached a producer, might find a few stumbling blocks in your way. That isn't the hidden hands tapping them on the shoulder saying, "Oi, flat Earth, don't do this." That isn't the case. It's just societally, they'll go, I don't know if I like this. Tyson walks in and you go, oh, I like space. That's all it is.
Could be.
I
think to imply that everything, I agree with you. Not everything is part of a grandiose scheme, and it would be girlish to think that they could control that. What's important is they've got to the point where Muppets like Tyson are tolerated because they are towing the rhetoric as weak as it is with his. I use the same quote, magic speed. And this man's describing how craters are formed on the moon. You know, that's the explanation. As weak as it is, as crap as he is, he will get picked up again because he is towing the line. He's not causing problems against the mainstream, not against the establishment or whatever that hidden hand is, but against just the ratings guy that picks shows based on ratings. He doesn't want. So he'll pick him up again because he's liked. He goes on Sesame Street. He's got, you know. I don't pretend that he's not there, but I also think there's a level of maintenance outside of that. And things like making sure Smithsonian stacks all the good stuff away outside of Flat Earth. Do you know what I mean? Little bits like that maintain the narrative, stopping things that contradict the narrative. That's where I think they do get him because they've worked too hard. We've got it. That's part of the moon landings. You know, they've got to that point where it is their rhetoric is now the mainstream. So it's easier now, isn't it? But I still don't think that precludes people watching, and don't have to dive in to give Neil deGrasse a contract, if you know what I mean. It can be much more subtle over many more years than that. That's how I think they operate. I don't think we'd ever see anything. If you're alluding to a establishment of some sort, I don't think you'd ever see them do anything direct. Everything's indirect over years.
Well, listen, it's just speculation. I'm just looking at it like I'm thinking that it's a purposeful thing. Can I prove that? No. Right? I can only look at the results, what I see, and try to extrapolate some type of coherency back. Somebody's pushing not only him, but all the rest of the numpties out there. I'll just rest my case with that. I can't prove it, and I don't focus on it.
Well, that's a good point, John. The numpties out there. If you're talking about hidden hand, you know, somebody's paying a lot of people, even unless there are these really committed all earthers. But there's something's funding that out there. So, like I say, but that's not obvious, is it? And it wouldn't be from like, they won't be getting paychecks from Illuminati.com. You know what I mean? So, but something's out there doing that. Something's feeding that. Somebody released the algorithms and allowed Flat Earth to explode, and somebody tightened it. Somebody felt the need to escalate it so that it would get a shout at the Congress and mentioned specifically as a point of ridicule. All these things happen. And nobody might know because there might be a thing, a nudge with the center of this or that and the other. So a chain would always disappear. That, to me, doesn't imply that there isn't ultimately somewhere where guiding things are instigated.
And I agree, but all of those end in people too. When you look back on the Congress discussion, well, that is literally a chain of events where people who are all under the impression that they're on a spinning ball flying through space see Flat Earth as a problem, discuss it, and ask how they're going to deal with this problem. Now, to us, we say, well, that's very telling. Could it be a problem if it wasn't a problem? If you know what I mean. Same applies to Neil deGrasse Tyson when the first words are out of his mouth are about Flat Earth. Well, he's got something to lose over this. And if it wasn't a problem, he would never mention it. It wouldn't be worthy of mention. But the reason I'm pointing out is because we do live, as much as it frustrates me, in a consensus-driven reality. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a part of that consensus or I agree with the consensus in that regard. That is what you keep calling Sally Psycho and Joe Bedroom Maker or whatever. That's who we're talking about. And the more this subject is talked about, the more people like Neil deGrasse Tyson try and brace against it, and the more people raise eyebrows and potentially look into it, to the point where it does have to have the curtail, the clamps put on it by the algorithm people, and they're telling you that they're doing it. Again, that'll raise eyebrows. It doesn't change the fact that as a population, and I can only go on what I experience on a day-to-day basis, people seem less and less offended by the idea or the discussion of Flat Earth, the globe lie. That seems far from what it was in 2015, where it was like, shh, what do you mean? What are you talking, or total anger immediately. That sort of extreme reaction dissipated to the point now where it's mentioned in passing on soap operas. Just a moderate point of minor ridicule.
So
why would
is that, mate?
Sorry, go on.
So is that then natural creep, or like to the extreme of EastEnders? Is that just a bloke that it's got out there in the mainstream naturally on its own, and it's unstoppable now? It's hit the mainstream so much that they can't control it, or is it just part of a controlled narrative release? Are they in control of that? Is what I'm asking.
It's both. They're definitely in control of it because they tell you how. I know from my statistics exactly when they're doing what and how they're doing it. And they often will disclaim it and put it into the terms of service under some particular bracket. Nevertheless, I know what's going on and I have to react to it. Sometimes I have to work harder. Sometimes I don't have to work as hard. All those sorts of things. But I'm informed. And most of the time when I read between the lines, I say this is on a reactionary level to the consensus, to the general populace and what they're looking at and what they're interested in. Now, that can't be controlled. It only has to be reacted to if people are interested in it in the first instance. When times it used to get me down in the first couple of times it happened on YouTube, because obviously I'm a YouTuber. So when you're having your exposure cut for the sake of argument, the first time it was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But then you think, after the fact, when you kind of get over it and realize you just got to work a bit harder to get around that, you start thinking, I've had to react to this. In other words, it's only a problem if it's a problem. Now, who's it a problem for? Not the general consensus population, because they're not throwing riots over it. They're mentioning it in the same way it's mentioned in the soap operas. Passing discussion about somebody who might think the Earth's flat. That's it.
No, right. So that's the next bit then, Nate. Right. So the point that I've seen this on EastEnders is what they didn't say was how can you have gas pressure without a container? Right. They didn't black swan anyone. They went, I've heard there's no flat. No, I'm not saying it's not flat. It's just that there's no flights over the South Pole. It was a very weak representation and not an argument any of us would present as flat earthers. Yet we were strawmanned.
Hey, well, to use Neil deGrasse Tyson's lingo, I'm talking specifically about us here now. I know there's a live audience. I've got a commercial problem. We've got a marketing problem. Because why is it that is the so-called cream that's risen to the top of flat Earth. Well, that's what's discussed in the most part by the majority of people who come to this subject. Well, that's for a reason as well, in terms of if you wanted to go down the conspiratard route of talking about controlled narratives and all those sorts of things. Well, the way people came to flat Earth in the first instance, 14, 15, was by the controlled narrative, by their version of flat Earth, with ice walls and domes and boats falling off edges, all that sort of stuff. And those were the things that started to get investigated and still to this day get talked about. While we end up fighting internally with people over what is number 2, not number 1 anymore, but for some people it's still number 1, globe demolishment argument you can have, which is how gas pressure without a container, as you mentioned. Well, why would it be that we're fighting amongst ourselves and the narratives that rise to the populace, point where they're on a soap opera, are the crappy arguments? Well, that's our fault. In other words, we'll have to do 2 things. Take a bit of deGrasse Tyson's advice. You've got to be charismatic and market well. Well, we need to market our arguments better to our own audiences. We're moaning, and it's like the downtrodden celebrity that isn't getting the work but bleats about it rather than trying to get more work. We need to market what we have better to the people who are listening, because they are the people who would potentially parrot it in the same way we talked, or Quantum Eraser's presentation talked about the people who go to the priesthood and parrot it to us only to be demolished and then try and ridicule, which is where they lose the argument. If more of us were parroting arguments that were good, like gas pressure without a container or the black swan, to name a couple, then those would be the arguments that would be talked over the bar in metaphor, because it's on a soap opera, that's not reality, but metaphorically, that's what's occurring across the country. Now, across the country, most people who come across the subject come across the majority of the people who are talking about it with crap arguments. We need to be better. We need to be more popular. Everyone in this panel needs to be more popular, so that we're more respected in our community and our arguments are disseminated amongst our people. Therefore, they're talked about in the bars, because that's what the video is being made about. Not about incoherent dielectric acceleration. I'm sorry to say that, but we've got winning arguments, and the investigatory part of the arm of what is called flat Earth be arguing with the people demolishing the globe. That's the way I see it. Only holding us back. I'm all for people investigating the nature of the world. That's a very separate issue, like studying explosions or something, to demolishing the globe and the rhetoric that's prevalent amongst the Western world. Again, that's our fault. That's our problem. And it's us and our marketing. And we can do something about that directly. I'm in charge of my life. I'm working very hard to do exactly that. And I'm very proud of myself for doing it. I'm not just saying that to try and get props from you guys or have any smoke blown up my ass. I'm very proud to be a flat earther. And when I put the work and effort into getting those condensed down clips that we were talking about at the beginning of the show, it's so that those arguments can be understood, heard, and repeated more in a more concise manner, and hopefully in a more entertaining manner with better visuals and sound and all the rest of the things that people care about at a subconscious level to keep them interested in watching. And then hopefully one day I'll be sat at a bar, like Adam says, and saying, well, I might not call myself a flat earther. I don't think the Earth's a sphere. Obviously, the gas we're breathing would fill the sky. Slug, 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 slug. Dun, 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 dun.
I love it. I agree with you. It's sarcastic, but actually profound. We can influence what's said in the Queen Vic, and fundamentally, we already have how to deal with that, and it's like that thing. So yeah, I think let's keep going. Maybe this time next year, Pat Butcher will be mentioning the Black Swan. I don't know if she's still in it.
Don't watch EastEnders. But
I had to go back a few years.
Right.
I think.
Recognising your own, I'm trying to give a motivational speech to everyone on the panel and everyone watching who understands implicitly that the Earth is obviously and observably flat. You are your own God in this regard. You're in charge of your own destiny. And how good you are is down to how much effort you want to put in and how often you disseminate the information. Now, obviously, I'm speaking to the converted on the panel. We're all out there doing it on a regular basis. But that's what it's about. and making yourself better in the way that you do it, making yourself more concise in the way you do it, upping your game, trying to pass it out further, spreading your net wider. All of those things are things that have become our responsibility. Now, unfortunately, that involves a lot of hard work that most people don't want to do. They just want to have the TV offer, I don't know, Mark Sargent the opportunity to sit in the same way as Neil deGrasse Tyson has, and give a little talk on how the Earth is flat. Have everyone go, wow, that's nice, and go about their day. Fortunately, just getting onto the stage isn't possible for Mark because it's not the consensus view, and therefore leaves a bit of taste in the production manager's mouth when it's suggested to him, and the scriptwriter's mouth when it's suggested to him. Well, we can change all that. They've just got to be a bit more fucking likable, all of you bastards.
Do you want to go, QE?
Doing my best.
I wasn't ready for that one. That was a good one to wind that one up. Cool. Yeah, I agree. I need a marketing agent, man. I think the Numpty clips should lead out. That's my opinion. It's unbiased.
Exactly. The Numpty clips are the perfect example of this. So this is QE upping his game, going to a huge amount of effort, and I know because I'm dragged into it, going to a lot of effort to actually produce something that is concise, humorous, entertaining, visually nice to look at, nice to listen to. It takes a lot of work and a lot of knowledge. You can't just produce those clips unless you know what's going on in the argument and how it's funny. So that's QE giving an exact example of this. We all need to do the same. We all need to up our game. There's a commenter going around saying, look at the flat earth decline in statistics. Well, there's two ways you could respond to that. Me, I know damn well exactly what the statistics are doing, and proactively try and increase my output or increase the quality or do something about it. Not everybody has that attitude. It's easy to take the attitude, it's a conspiracy. It's because they're cobbling us. It's because they've put us out to less people. It's because they don't give the notifications out to our own bloody subscribers. I could bleat all day. Would that do anything? No, it wouldn't. No, not at all. I could write a little letter to YouTube and it wouldn't do anything either. I have to do something else. And being proactive about upping your game, increasing your output, if that's what you want to do, increasing the quality of your output, decreasing your output and polishing it up to a much higher standard, anything that increases the likelihood of the person watching either enjoying it more and therefore passing it on to next man, because that's all it's about. It is just marketing. Grass Tyson's right.
I come back a little bit on this conversation. I couldn't come in earlier. I made a speculation video recently that stated that the reason that they keep teaching gravity as a force, schools and colleges and even universities, only certain people end up learning theory of general relativity. The reason they've continually taught it as a force is because, this is my speculation, because in every space video, moon landing, you name it, they all show gravity as a force. But everything they show in every one of those videos, including the ISS, everything, has nothing to do with the theory of general relativity, as there is no mass attracting mass. So they have no explanation for that. So 54 years before the moon landing, Einstein threw all that stuff out. But then 54 years later, 1969, NASA comes out with a force of attraction between masses. So I think the likes of Neil deGrasse Tyson and Mick West and all them, I'm not saying that they are in direct communication with all these people, but I think a lot of these people are allowed, they're promoted and allowed, because they've learned all this nonsense, they're allowed to push it out into the public. They'll be the ones with 1.2 and 3.2 million subscribers on YouTube, because they need to keep that mass attracting mass going, because every space video shows it. But they know the time is coming when they can't go back to the moon. They can't do it because they can't pull it off now, because they know that they can't do it well enough to convince people. Because in 2013 or 15 or something, the Gravity movie came out with Sandra Bullock, and that was as good and better than anything we've seen. So they can't do it. So they're in a tricky situation, and they need flat Earth, but they need it to be brought in the way they want it brought in. But at the moment, they're going to keep the nonsense going. That's my speculation on it.
Thanks. I'd like to shout out a super chat. Glenn's Maelstrom. Appreciate it, sir. Don't mention it, guys. I am mentioning it. Just a token tip. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Want to wrap this up, guys? Yes? Want to run through everyone's little final thoughts? Any questions or comments or concerns? We'll wrap it up. Go ahead, Arwen.
4 hours.
No, I got too many teenagers. I got to get out there and start policing up.
Great show again. A lot of format talk. I like it. Don't have really much to add, really. It's just like everything said.
Cool. Channel shout out?
Yeah, Flat Earth Early Bird Show, 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend on Arwin channel, ARWIGN. Hope to see you there in chat. I thrive on curiosity in chat and people that are willing to up in the game with good questions, which I can respond to, right? Otherwise, sometimes it gets a little silent when people think it's too early. Early bird show, yeah.
Hey, Arwen, put your link in. I can't put any links inside. My chat's not working. So can you put your link over in the main channel?
I will.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Arwen. Brian, yes. Channel, shout out.
Thanks, Kiwi. Really enjoyed it. My channel is Brian's Logic. Like and subscribe. If science proves the globe, that means that the globe is a cause and effect relation. Thank you.
Thanks. Broken Curves. I got you off mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a great show, man. I think I agree with Nathan, though. Like, prior to January 2020, I was a Glober. I think it's because Flat Earth had really bad arguments at the time. Like, I didn't have an answer for gas pressure without a container. I really didn't back then. But, like, I thought I was measuring Earth curve. So whenever, that argument come up and there was a curve calculator put out there to ask about something we see, I was like, well, what's it matter? We're looking behind curvature, So, when they said, the horizon's refracted, I was like, well, you're not measuring anything then,
Yeah, you got it. Oh, he just took. Oh, okay. Is that it? Is that all you got?
Oh, yeah. That just pretty much the arguments that are out there are such crap. I think that's one of the things holding Flat Earth back.
Well, such crap. What are you talking about, man? Hey, you been to my website?
No, I ain't talking about your arguments or the people like at Nathan's show. I'm talking about the ones out there arguing in the trenches. They get caught up on silly stuff.
Yep, exactly. I was preaching against that last night, 24/7, and a couple other places. Just use the arguments. They're real simple. There's only a couple of them that you have to master. Don't go down the crazy roads, right? Use the black swan argument. You could use the Solar or Flight or the Evolved Sea Sparrow missile. I got those on the channel. They're all written out for you. If you don't like the black swan, I don't know why you wouldn't. That just kills it right there. With rotation, you can go with vestibular apparatus, the inertial frame viewing of movement of the moon and the stars. You can go into the Coriolis effect if you like. I would suggest not to. However, you can do it if you have the acumen and gas pressure without a container. That's it. Just master those arguments. That's all you need to do. And you can crush. It's already crushed. Don't go down. Don't let them guys drag you down incoherent roads that you don't know anything about. Don't go down roads where you have to, speak at length for an hour on a topic. Be concise as possible and just deal them a death blow. The arguments are already there. Snatch them up. Make them your own. That's all you got to do. The work's already been done for you is what I'm trying to say. Right? And it pisses me off that people don't do it.
I went into Jim Panda's server and within 30 seconds, they were arguing that they were certain that certainty couldn't exist.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
because it was that bad. It was
Paradox.
That certainty doesn't exist. Did you ask them if they were certain?
You know I did. You know I did.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Broken Curse. Appreciate it. Flat Earth Data, what's up, man? Questions, comments, concerns? Quickly. Oh, sorry, man. I got you on mute. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Good show. I wanted to mention as well, anytime you talk to the average person, the Black Swan's a great argument for somebody who's known the situation or aware of it. But the average engineer, the average landscaper, if you approach them and you ask them logically at 1 foot observer height, is the ball edge horizon 1.22 miles away? Without even aware of the flat Earth debate or the argument that the Globers have versus each other, they'll say, no, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And then if I show them the radius of the Earth based on NASA, no joke, they'll say, well, NASA's lying. Then for that brief moment, they'll conclude the logical reasoning that it's impossible to have a curvature 1 mile away. They'll still go, they'll be in it for a second, and then they'll pop back out. But it's really just that easy to be able to reason.
Yep.
By asking that one simple question.
I agree.
And I find this is my position. I've always held this argument is what causes the apparent junction of the sky and ground, Earth curvature or your eyesight. And I've been doing a book logging all of the responses based on that one question. And wait till you guys see it unfold. It is a beautiful masterpiece that I'm collecting.
I bet.
Anything from Scott Veach saying that the ground doesn't rise, it actually dips, but perspective happens faster than the curve of the Earth. This is what I'm dealing with in collecting data to the point where it's really that simple to appeal to somebody's logical reasoning.
Yep.
They think the Earth cannot be that small.
I agree.
That's the average Joe.
I agree. You got a channel, you got a site that anyone could go to out there that's listening right now?
Yeah, I changed my name for now. It's 3D Data on YouTube, but I'll be hopefully finishing the book soon enough where everybody it's in alliance with what you're doing, QE, which is brilliant. Same with Nathan, everybody on the panel doing their job to get it out there.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll have something by the end of this year. I thought I was going to be done this year or December of 2021 or January, sorry, but no, it's too good to. It gets better now that we've got PNS showing up. You know what I mean? It just gets more ridiculous and more absurd.
When you get your website or you get a YouTube channel, you need to send me that link so we can get that people over and to that information. So when you have that, PM me and give it to me. All right.
Do that.
All right. Flat Arthur, what's up, man? How's it going? Yep, you're up mute. How's it going, sir? I can't hear you, sir.
Well, if you can't hear him, I'm going to go because I'm going to lose you in a minute.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Neil.
Great job, QE.
Thanks.
Keep it up, and I think you got to drop anchor again at another time because they're still going to talk nonsense. And it may even get worse with this dielectric acceleration. And nobody interrupt me, all right?
Show your screen. All right, Sasha. Do I got him, Sasha? I'm sorry, Sasha. You're still on mute. Go ahead.
Before you go to Sasha, a couple of things. We missed Flatzoid, so we'll go to Flatzoid next. But kudos to Flat Earth Data. You're talking about upping our game, and best argument is about the horizon. The horizon's not Earth curve. Well, that's what he's making his book on. So props to him. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So can't wait for that. But, Flatzoid, go first.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that, Flatzoid.
Just before you do, right? Did I just hear from Flat Earth there that he got a concession that was it? Perspective moves faster than.
Yeah, but you got to understand who said that. That's the PhD booger eating M. Scott Feet. That's who said that. So that's not that big of a deal. He's got his own wing on a Numpty clip. Stay tuned.
No, but in a way, it's poetry, isn't it, John? That's why it caught my ear.
Too funny. I can't wait to see all the answers. They'll be double speaking, contradicting themselves. It's hilarious. I'm following what he's doing. Yep. All right. Can I go to Sasha now?
You haven't heard from Flatsoid yet.
I'm sorry, Sasha. Hold on a second. Flatsoid. Flatsoid. He's sleeping, man.
Flatsoid FE, subscribe to date. These are all the people that are, we need to promote, and we need their channels to be out there more, because they're the people that are permeating to the audience the arguments that are good arguments. We're not just saying that because they're our arguments. They are good arguments. They demolish the globe on a daily basis. If these are the channels that you need to shout out, Flatsoid's one of them. So if he's not here, I'm just going to do that on his behalf.
I'll add to that, Nate, because I was watching Flatsoid's latest vid in his garage with the flashlight, just talking about when the ballers talk about uplighting the clouds and stuff, and showing some real good practical. It takes me back to the old days. Do you know what I mean? Doing some really good old school practical demonstrations, a bit like when Zach Zabala did his stuff with the paintings. They're there, they're real, and they make these things understandable. So yeah. If he's had to go to bed.
Nah, he's there. I seen him pop off.
Back.
I seen him pop off mute, Adam. Go ahead, Flatsoid.
Sorry, I just couldn't really talk. I was busy talking with my wife. Yeah, great show like always. I think it's quite straightforward. And if you got more than 2 brain cells, you'll know what the scientific method is. My channel is Flatsoid FE. At the moment, I'm busy ripping apart Bob the science guy that doesn't even know how to do science, but yeah, thanks anyway. Keep it going.
Flatsoid, do me a favor. I can't post your link. Can you post the link here in BALLBUSTERS live stream? Hey, Arwen, do me a favor. Once he posts his link, could you spam the chat on YouTube for us? Arwen. So you get to say your piece and you just left, huh? I see how you are. All right, Sasha.
Hello.
Hello.
John, I'm listening 5 years.
Right.
That's my comment. 5 years I'm listening. And I can only say that even doesn't matter for that when I'm listening to you. Because all these presentations, what you did, your channel and everything, it's like, I realized the difference between science and pseudoscience. And that's the only point. I don't know why people don't understand that. And if I have advice, if they want, they can watch your channel, but not only one video, all of them. I know that need time, but that would be very nice. And yeah, only thing what I can say, in these 5 years, you show me what the science is. Thank you for that.
You're welcome, Sasha, but I don't know why you needed me, your wife, as a biochemist, for goodness sakes.
I know that also, apart that, she will not, how to say, accept nothing without experimenting. But that's my wife, we are not speaking.
Say that one more. Hold on, Sasha. You say that one more time. You said your wife, as a biochemist, actual scientist, by the way, she won't accept anything without what?
Experiment.
Experiment? Did you say experiment?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Unbelievable. It must be.
She will point it out also if you want to push the observation like a thing, like a science, that with observation you could do the science. She will stop you immediately in that moment and say that that's not right and that's not right.
Yeah, sounds like a chip off the old block. Why didn't you have her on the show?
No, because she is she has a lot of other things to do in life, really.
We'll put her up against the rumpus.
Yeah, that would be nice, And I will not be, like no band. I write that first thing chat because I could not write it, on the chat.
Make sure you tell her I said that, man. I want her against the rumpus.
Okay, because I said Rumpus is idiot, but under my sentence, it was a picture of looming, and he said that the black swan is example of looming, and I said idiot.
Yeah. Cool beans, man.
Because-
Thanks. Thanks, Sasha.
Okay,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it, man.
Thank you.
Yep. Guess what? We got the rumpus, man. Why are you coming in here? Why are you doing that? Mr. Magic Factories of Oxygen in the Sky. Let me tell you something. You're going to be a star this week on the Numpty clips. Just want to let you know, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm not telling you which day I'm putting it out. I don't know which one just yet. But you and your boyfriend, your ball-tarred boyfriend, Georgie, you two bozos are yourselves going to implode the entire heliocentric space monkey religion all by yourself. Do you know that? Now, for you, I want to know where those magic oxygen factories in the sky are right now.
Well, it's a legacy of the prehistory of the Earth.
It's the prehistory of the Earth, the magic
History of the Earth we generated in the past, and it's just sitting there. It doesn't matter where it came from.
Hey, QE.
We're only interested in its behaviour at the moment. We don't care where the oxygen came from. We just need to know that it indicates there's a pressure gradient, and you therefore...
There's a pressure gradient. Wait a second. You said a pressure gradient. That's second. Where'd you get... Which comes first, gas pressure or gas pressure gradients?
Well, they come together.
No, they don't. One arrives
Yes, they do.
before the next. One is the necessary antecedent to the consequent.
No, they come together. If you get one, you're going to get the other.
No, they don't come together. You have to have gas pressure before you can have gas pressure gradients. That is, X must exist before you can have delta X. Do you follow that argument?
Yeah. They come together. You get one.
All right, good night. Travis.
QE.
That's the same noise he made. He made the same noise on the posting.
Hold on, Flat Earth Data. Hold on, Flat Earth Data. Go ahead, Rumpus.
If we lived in a world about your definition of science, we'd never know what proton sizes were. We'd never know about DNA.
Shut up. Get back. I want to know where the magic oxygen factories in the sky are. That's where we want to know.
There aren't any magic oxygen factories in the sky, although there is some production due to solar wind and things. Doesn't matter.
Are you saying?
How do
Are
you
you
account for
saying
the
it's
fact that there's
original
not a
oxygen?
gale of wind blowing up to Everest? If there was the gas pressure and no gravity, we would have an absolute...
Oh, shut up. I'm tired of your nonsense. You're not going to do that on my show. Listen, I got teenagers to deal with.
May I ask Rumpus?
No, you may not. No, I'm leaving. So we're going to Travis. Travis, sir. Thoughts, questions, concerns? Thanks, Travis. Warden Cliff, you are off mute, sir. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
Well, no, just a great show. Glad you're putting it all together because it gives me more ammo for when I speak to all these globies.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. We have, hey, what's up, Will? How's it going, man? Sorry, you're on mute. What's up, man? Thoughts, concerns, questions?
Hey, Quantum Eraser. Yeah, great show again, but I got a question.
Okay.
I've been getting a lot of citations, references on natural sciences, and
Okay.
well, basically what they're saying is that in our physical world, everything's considered natural.
That's a logical fallacy.
Yeah, and well, I was just wondering how would you go about it? You know, I know what I would do, but I just wanted, you know, how to like detail or give any references or what is.
How would you go about what? Oh, go ahead, Adam. Maybe you understand.
Oh, yeah, all I'd say is if that was the case, why would we invent the word synthetic?
Yeah.
I was going to say, to look up the definition of synthetic.
Right. Right. Because they said like they keep coming at me, you know, like, oh, everything's natural. So therefore science, well, you know, we can perform science on it. And well, I just take them back to the method, you know, and every time if it's synthetic, like Nathan and Adam said, it's man-made. And I just keep on getting all these do you say, these Koopa Troopas, they just keep coming at me, coming, and it's the same thing, man. They just don't, they can't, they try to weasel, squirm their way out of it, but everything they say, it's flawed.
The important point is, right? Remember, I always said this: citations and references aren't the arguments; they support an argument. However, if you post a citation, you have to be able to demonstrate that it's true, because on their face, every single citation is a baseless assertion fallacy. So always remember that citations aren't the argument, and they don't make the argument. But if you're going to use one to support an argument, they themselves have to be supported. The reason why I'm saying this is because people can say anything they want without support. A village idiot does it every day. Right? To separate yourself from that, you have to support everything that you say. If they're bringing citations to you that say natural science, natural means everything, then just like they told you, just bring up synthetic. It's over. Right? You've just demonstrated that whatever they said was false. Correct? It's also a fallacy. It's a false division fallacy, by the way. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm agreeing with you, and that's pretty much what we always they always try to get away from, whether it's natural or synthetic, and that's all they have. Honestly, they have nothing.
In fact, I have a single presentation on that, and we just talked about it last week too. In fact, BALLBUSTERS Bob brought the question up, and we went over it late. Did you listen to that?
Yeah. I even told him to come on Discord, man up, and ask.
No, sure. It's a good question, because there's a lot of, even though it's easily reconciled, it's still a good question because there's a lot of misinformation out there. But we can easily, like I said, there's supernatural, physical and natural, and man-made. I provided examples. I showed exactly where and how and why it cannot be science if it's man-made, right? Because it's just a logically follow-on. If you have a man-made effect, what's the cause? You know it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, Kiwi. Thanks a lot, Quantum.
Hey, appreciate it, sir. Thank you. The Adam Meekin.
Yeah. Before we move on, reiterate the conclusion to that, because it got lost in a lot of agreement and back.
Sure, go ahead.
The conclusion, and I'm sure Will already knows this, that's why he's asking, that if you put it through the method, that is to say anything synthetic, anything made by man, that through the method of science, what's the cause? Well, a man making it is the cause. You're always going to get the same independent variable as established, because a man made it, therefore it wouldn't exist if a man didn't make it. Therefore, science is only interested in the natural world. Now, we don't always qualify this, but it's natural science that we're talking about. Physics is natural science, the study of the natural world, not the man-made world. Anyway.
Thanks. You just removed another few minutes away from my Philly cheesesteak pizza. They got a bunch of pizzas out. I'm not too big on the barbecued chicken pizza or anything like that, but my daughter said that the Philly cheesesteak is really good. I have my doubts, but I definitely want to get there. So, Adam, channel shout-outs, final thoughts, man.
Philly cheese.
Yeah, see, my palate isn't as refined as your aristocratic palate is, so I'll do Philly cheesesteak pizzas, man. And Wingies.
That sounds, I told you, Wingies again last night. We ordered pizza last night because the wife was away. As a little treat, you had to order sides. So for Archie,
Wingies.
There's no choice. Wingies, yeah. Which, like I said, he repeated at great and annoy his brother. John, can I share screen?
No.
I promised you.
No.
Can you?
Adam, I'm going to wring your neck, man.
No, but you've just got to go into the renamed Nebuchadnezzar.
That's Nebuchadnezzar.
Well, I knew it was that, but
all right, hold on.
I assumed it was Matrix-based, but
all right, I got you. 1 second.
Skype chat.
Yeah, I got it. 1 second.
as promised from the beginning of the show, if you would pull it up and stop interrupting me.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, you should.
Well done, Adam.
All right, hold
You
on.
should.
Give me a second. Go ahead, smoke them if you got them. Give me about 2 minutes. My Skype's running slow.
I've sent it you, Nate, for a thumbnail. Point.
I'll check it out. But while that's going on, I'll reiterate what I was stressing earlier, which is that we want the bar talk to be about the good arguments. We've all got to up our game. And as an audience member, you're part of that, which is to say that watch, subscribe, share the clips, stick them on Facebook. We've been sticking them out on Instagram, chopping them up and putting out sections of them. Brilliant. That's what it takes. Take the good arguments and put them out there. In other words, engage how well these arguments are getting out into the general populace by how much the channels are growing. So if Brian's channel's growing, those good arguments are growing. So, go and subscribe to Brian, go and subscribe to Owen, subscribe to Adam, subscribe to me, of course. Just on that note, I know I'm going to round out in a minute on behalf of QE and this excellent show presentation he put together today, but I'm going to put the clip that we were discussing about Rumpus in the chat, so go and check that out and share it far and wide and all that good stuff.
Don't round out just yet, Nathan.
Show the picture.
Yeah, I'm getting there. At ease.
Oh, Nathan, I mentioned Flatzoid earlier. Brian's had a rerun.
It's too. Hold on a second. The picture's too big. The thumbnail's too big.
What do you mean it's too big?
Just show screen.
Oh, I think I got it. All right. I think I got all of it. There it is.
Brilliant. Love it.
All right, Adam. All right, Adam. There you go. There you go. Is that it, Adam?
I can't see it on screen now.
No, it's on there.
Yeah, but yeah.
That was that's brilliant. A good show. Can you don't normally QE, but because you've got Numpty clips, I want you to do like everyone else has done, rounding out and being a plug to their own channel and their own bits that are coming out. Based Numpty clips. Can you do that for us, please?
What, for the Numpty clips?
You in general and your channel in general, because this gets mirrored on my channel, and for your Numpty clips. Yes, please.
Yeah, the Numpty clip, that's what I really want to push these days. I have over 100 and I think 15 of them right now. They come out every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2 p.m. U.S. Central, 7 p.m. UK. I want to make them the crown jewel of the channel. They show a number of different things. It's not just poking fun at the baltards. That's not the main point. There's a lot of good education in there. It shows the weaknesses of the parroted arguments they have. For new people coming in, they look at these arguments and the people providing them and say, well, do I really want to be on this team? I don't think so. And most importantly, it keeps you up to date on their arguments, on the belly laughers, and how to systematically deconstruct them. So again, every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there'll be more this week. Monday at 2 p.m., Wednesday and Thursday. And one of those, I gave it up already. It is going to be Mr. Wumpy and Georgie. They are going to beat their own religion, the Baltard spinning space monkey religion, over the head with a nail spike 44-inch Louisville slugger. Unwittingly, they do it. That's the really cool part. So stay tuned.
Are we going to hear from the Wumpus today?
We already heard from him, Neil. You missed that.
He got his time. He had a crack. On Flatzoid.
Yeah.
Go on.
And now his fingers are in his ears.
All right, Nathan, take us home, sir.
But again, I'll stress subscribe to all of the channels that have been mentioned, including myself. I'll spam my link for the Numpty clip that is the Rumpus talking about magical oxygen factories in the sky. Along with that, there's a load of other clips on my channel, so go and check them out. Subscribe if you haven't already, along with Flatzoid, Arwin, Brian's Logic, Adam Meakin, Neil, if he had a channel, and anybody else that we've mentioned on this channel today. If you're watching this on the re-up on Nathan Oakley, there's probably going to be a show starting on my second channel, but there isn't if you're watching this live, so go forth and watch one of the clips that you've had spammed or subscribe to somebody that's spam to you in the live stream chat. Massive thank you to both the interactive panel, which was Rumpus, and all of the Ballbusters panel for making today's Ballbusters possible. But of course, most importantly, a massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, smashing the super chat, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Massive thanks to Quantum Eraser, and we will see you all in the next Ballbusters.